All right, everyone, welcome back to the show. On today's video, we are going to go through the whole process of laying all of your, or getting prepared and laying all your in-floor heat tubing below a slab. We build post frame homes, and this is how we do it when we build them. When we do our in-floor heat, the first thing we do is we build our structure first. That's just the way we like to do it because a lot of these places we're building, the concrete is the finished floor and we don't want to damage it. So we'll come in and we'll get our gravel to the proper height, and that's going to be based on where you want your finished floor height. So we use 2-inch polystyrene insulation, and we usually have a 5-inch slab. So wherever our finished grade is, we will set our gravel or our base 7 inches below that. So that's what we do. We'll bring rock in, we'll get it as level as we can, we'll use a laser level, and then we will compact it all. Once that's done, it's time to put a vapor barrier down. A vapor barrier is important. It keeps moisture from coming out of the ground and penetrating up through your slab. However, if you use the proper amount of gravel, all that water is gonna be allowed to drain through that gravel. So it's important that you have enough gravel below your slab. I like to have a minimum of 4 inches. That's just my personal preference, and that gives the water plenty of room to escape. And then a lot of the times you don't have those moisture problems. When we're talking about vapor barriers, in most instances, I will use a 6 mil plastic. A lot of people say that's not thick enough. It's a case-by-case basis. If you have a place that doesn't have a lot of moisture problems, I feel like it's okay. It's what I use in my personal home. We have no moisture problems coming up through our floor. I guess another thing that comes into play with that is cost. If you go up to like a 15 mil barrier, you're gonna spend 4 times what like a 6 mil plastic will cost you. The thing you have to be careful with the 6 mil plastic is you want to use a gravel or like fines that you can get really smooth, so when you compact it there's not a lot of jagged edges, because if you use a lot of big rock and you compact and there's a lot of jagged edges, you will puncture that plastic, which will then kind of make it pointless. We tape our seams on our plastic, and then after that we'll come in and lay 2-inch polystyrene down. We do not tape that. We've already created a solid vapor barrier underneath with the plastic, so I don't feel there's any need to tape the seams, and then you're going to be walking on it and everything else, so the chances of those seams holding up is going to be kind of slim to none. All right guys, we are running our in-floor radiant heat. As you can see, we have the garage zone all done. Customers here only want 2 zones, one for the garage and one for the rest of the house. And from my experience with my own house, that's kind of how we have 2 separate zones in the house and we keep them the same, so I guess it really doesn't matter. But it is nice if you have a master, you want to keep cooler or warmer. Think about that when you're putting in zones. So we run 1/2 inch oxygen barrier PEX, and it's in 300-foot rolls. So typically what I'll do, so no lines cross. I built this temporary wall. The concrete will come up just to the bottom of this, but what this does is gives me a place to attach. I use 1-inch PVC electrical conduit to run the pipes through. And once we're all done, we'll fill those with spray foam so no rocks from concrete can get in there and wear a hole. But I start on the outside, we go out, we go back and forth, and then we return. And then the next loop will come out here, and they never cross. So we'll do that throughout the whole house. Keep in mind, you want to keep them as close to 300 feet as possible. This loop here is almost 300. This one's probably only about 225. But don't worry if that's the case, because you can put flow meters on to balance the flow through the lines, and I'll explain that later. These conduits are a few bucks a piece, but they are lifesavers, because then the concrete will get poured up all around here, makes them nice and stable, and then you can take all this down and attach these to your wall, and it protects those lines coming through the concrete. So that's the zone 1. I always mark them S1, R1, that's supply, and that's the return. It's the same line. That's going out, that's coming in. That'll be important when you hook up your manifolds. I like all my supplies to be on one side, all my returns on the other. So we're going to start here with the rest of the house, and it will get a little congested in here, so you gotta think. I'm going to start down here, and we'll work that edge of the house, come back, go out, and then nothing will ever cross. So zone 2 will be somewhere right in here. We're just using Malco stapler. These are 2.5-inch staples for 2-inch foam board. This, by far, in my opinion, is the fastest and easiest way to do it. I did an in-floor heat system where you lay the wire mesh down, then lay your PEX, and then zip tie it, and it takes forever. This is real fast and efficient. This works pretty good once you get the hang of it, and it's just attached right there on your foam board. If you guys are wondering how we know when to go back to the manifold, on this oxygen barrier pipe that's meant for radiant heat, it has how many feet is left in the roll. So as you're unrolling it, you can look at the pipe and it'll tell you how many. This says 55 feet, which I did my math on the last run, so I should be able to make it back to the manifold if I figured right. And how I do that is I just figure the sheets. They're 4 foot or 8 foot long, and just quick math. Alright guys, I'll show you this here quick, kind of how I keep this pressurized while they're pouring the concrete. So here's all the in-floor heat tubes that come up, and then I built this a long time ago, and what I'll do when I go from job to job is I cut these off, pull these off, and then I just reconnect when I'm doing another manifold. And so these are all hooked together then I put a hose out to a pressure gauge and an air chuck so I can hook an air compressor up to it. So I just took a quick connect, Pex quick connect, and then I made this little piece here. It's got pressure gauge, a ball valve, and then that's where I hook my air hose up to. And I've had this under pressure for several hours, and it's holding 50 psi. So that's pretty good. Pretty confident we have no leaks. So when we pour the concrete, I'll make sure this is all pressurized, and then I'll keep it under pressure the entire time. That way, if somehow one of these gets damaged, which the chances of that are pretty slim, but we have repair couplings on hand. If they're pouring and all of a sudden I see my pressure go down, all you have to do is look for bubbles coming up in the concrete, and then you can dig it up, find the problem, fix it. Never had to do that, but makes me feel good at the end of the day when the concrete's all poured and I still got 50 psi pressure on all these lines. And that way I can be confident that we're good. Another thing that we do is we fill all of the ends of these with spray foam. That way when they're pouring the concrete, a little pebble can't get up in there, and then over time, you know, maybe vibration or anything like that could wear a hole. Just something a little extra that I like to do. Again, just another thing to keep giving me peace of mind. But this will all look pretty sweet. So this will be the utility room. We're gonna have in-floor heat on this side. We'll have all the water lines on this side. Have furnace and AC right here. But we are ready to rock and roll. Tomorrow, the in-floor heat, or the concrete company that I use, is gonna come put all the rebar in, and then we're gonna pour this Friday. Tomorrow night is supposed to be down to 25, so we're waiting a day, and then it's not gonna drop below freezing for the next week. So this will all cure properly. All right, before I go, there's a few things I just wanna cover because I know I'm gonna get questions on them. And the first one is, why don't you set your radiant heat tubing up like on chairs? Well, first of all, that's really difficult to do just because it's hard to keep everything straight. And in all honesty, you have a vapor barrier underneath. All the seams are taped on that. Then you have 2 inches of polystyrene, and then you have your tubing, and it's gonna force that heat up into the concrete. The concrete's gonna be all the way around it. It's gonna superheat that mass. The heat's gonna rise because it's not gonna be able to penetrate down through that plastic and this insulation. So it's gonna go up. My house is done exactly like this, and it is amazing. I'm super happy with it. There's nothing wrong if you want to try to set it up in there. A lot of guys will do that, but I'm telling you, I've done this and it works really well. Another thing to keep in mind is I pour 4-inch slabs on residents, and with this being down at the bottom, I know I got a 5-inch slab. This is 1/2-inch PEX, comes up about 3/4 inches. I know whenever I'm drilling into the concrete, I have 4 inches. I never ever go into that far, probably about 3 inches is the max I'll drill in to lock down walls, stuff like that, but I know where my tubing is, and I know I'm not gonna hit it. If you bring it up into the center of the slab, you better be sure that you marked out all your walls, and that you know where you're drilling, because if you drill into one of these, it's gonna be really difficult, if impossible, to fix. It's not gonna be impossible, but it's not gonna be easy. So just keep that in mind. That's why I do this the way I do it. I don't tape the seams on the cement board. We set all the gravel with a laser level, but it's never perfect. We compact it, and this will move a little bit if you go through and tape it, with all the contractors walking on it and everything, and you already have the vapor barrier underneath taped and sealed. You know, if you want to, there's nothing wrong with doing that. I just choose not to do it. I'm not saying that I'm I'm right or I'm wrong. It's just the way we do it, and it works well. See if there's any other questions. If I could do this the way I wanted on every build, I would require people to spray foam the floors with closed cell spray foam. It's just not feasible with the cost of spray foam right now. The cost difference in that is probably $5,000 or $6,000. So if I had the ultimate way to do this would be to come in here after you got your gravel all level and spray foam with closed cell spray foam. You would get everything completely sealed. It would be your vapor barrier. It would form to the contour of the gravel. It would fill in all the voids. It would just be a rock solid way to do it. But it's a lot more money. If you have the extra money, that's the way I would do it. Otherwise, this is just fine. This works out great. And you know, when you walk on this, it does move a little bit, but once you get the weight of that concrete on, it pushes this all down, and you're not going to have problems. Rebar, 2 foot on center, and you'll have a really nice floor system. Make sure you get stress cuts in, relief cuts the day after you pour. They should roughly be 1/4 of the thickness of your concrete, and you'll have really good results. The most important thing about this whole thing is what's below this, and that's good solid ground that has plenty of gravel that's compacted. You want to be able to drain anything under your concrete, and the only way you can do that is by having gravel where water can escape. So hopefully this video was helpful. We're going to be doing several other of these systems. I think we got 3 more of these we got to do this summer, so I'll bring those to you. We'll bring you the manifold hookups, the boiler hookups, all that kind of good stuff. So as always, we appreciate you guys watching. Don't forget to check out our Patreon. We started a build group for DIY home builders that is specific to post frame, but can also help you if you're going to do a stick frame. So thanks for watching, and we will catch you on the next video.